So we've talked, I think, a fair bit in the past about buy now, pay later schemas. And this came into my inbox earlier today. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I sent this to the CW team a few days ago about Shopify and the ChatGPT integrations. And then I got an email from Dave, and he goes, hey, so just following up with you. Oh, wait. Yes. Okay, yeah. It looks like this is public. Okay, sorry, I almost said something. I thought I might say something that's not public. So Dave sent me this email. He goes, hey, following up, per our Shopify contacts, it sounds like their team is very slowly rolling access out to stores on a limited basis. Oh, wait, no, this is a different thing. Hold on. We'll need something.
Do you want me to take it?
Yeah. Why can't I not find the right email?
So PayPal is enabling buy now, pay later for like everything. I don't even think it's opt-in or opt-out. PayPal is just like allowing this now, which does make sense in regards to how PayPal works. And then Shopify, as far as my understanding goes, is doing an opt-in setup where buy now, pay later is not enabled by default, but stores can opt into it.
Yeah.
If we're being effectively forced into complying with this whole concept from PayPal anyways, what do you think we should do? I think that was effectively the question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here's my email. Why didn't I just read my email? From Dave's email below, related note, both Shop and PayPal are pitching payment plan solutions for consumers. PayPal is rolling regardless of whether we market it. Shop is an opt-in. Do you have any feelings about payment plans for customers? And what I said was Luke and I have been pretty vocal critics of buy now, pay later schemes on WAN Show. It seems like we are being forced to have it at this point. Regardless, should we discuss on WAN? What should be our policy regarding this tech? If it's supported through PayPal anyway, should we provide customer choice on our site for how to engage with this payment method? And both Luke and Taryn responded. So you do just want to say what you said?
Yeah, effectively.
I didn't actually read your email yet. So.
Oh. Why do I even send them?
Well, because I'm going to read it eventually.
I was trolling. Yeah, I had a surprising encounter. I was trolling about Klarna, which is one of the more well-known buy now, pay later solutions.
Buying a banana with Klarna or whatever. Yeah.
Sure. But there's a ton of them. It's not just Klarna. But I was trolling about that in a chat that had a Swedish person living in Sweden in it.
Yeah.
And that person pointed out like, hey, bro, it's actually like totally normal and kind of fine here. And I was like, what? And they just apparently use it as a credit card replacement.
Yeah.
And it's very normal. And a lot of people just have debit cards and then they use Klarna, which is a Swedish company, by the way. So it started there as a credit card replacement. And delinquencies and defaults in like Sweden and Norway, where it was originally popularized, is like way lower than elsewhere. Just like have a different relationship with it. And that maybe kind of just fall back on like, I don't know.
So I think our CEO Taryn Tong had probably the most based take on this. He says, credit cards are also onerous if you miss payments. We accept those. My position is be financially literate. If you're using this to borrow money and don't have the ability to pay it off within terms, you probably shouldn't be making the purchase.
My take on it was freedom reigns. Let them do it if they want. I don't.
Oh, right. We never actually clarified the part about why we have some discomfort, because the way that the relationship that some people have with these buy now, pay later schemes is not a healthy one, and it can seem to encourage unhealthy spending habits.
There is literally people, this is more common in the Americas, maybe not so common in Sweden and Norway, and the world is not the same, and yada, yada, yada. But there are apparently people that max out their credit cards, don't have any credit card room left, and then go to something like Klarna. And that's crazy.
Terrifying.
Please no. People are saying Klarna will cut you off real quick if you don't pay. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't like it. As someone who had credit cards extremely normalized, which is a North American thing.
Yep.
This sounds just like bad extension of credit card.
Yeah, it sounds
but I also
like...
understand it's different around the world.
It sounds like... why does it bother me? Because they both are functionally the same.
They are both
thing.
Literally buy now, pay later.
So maybe it's because I assume that I am buying something with a credit card. So I assume there should be no reason that I need a buy now, pay later.
Credit card.
Does that make sense? Because
is like 1 month. Klarna is many month.
But see, okay, but
is that the difference?
Well, hold on. There's two differences. Okay. So through my North American lens, like literally almost nobody here uses a debit card to pay for something online. Like I don't
even know if we can.
You could use email money transfer.
There are ways to use debit cards for online payments, but it's like really unnatural and
So functionally speaking, if you're buying something online as a North American, you are using a credit card or you are using your PayPal account, which is probably linked to a credit card, or can be linked to a bank account. But that, from my understanding, is exceedingly uncommon compared to just using a credit card. So maybe part of our ick around stuff like around buy now, pay later, like Klarna, is that we assume that you're already using a credit card. So there should be, unless you are being financially very irresponsible, no reason to use a buy now, pay later scheme because you are already using a buy now, pay later scheme.
My first few exposures to it were discussions where people were talking about how they can still order things like Uber Eats even when they've maxed out their credit cards. Those were the first few exposures I had to it. Not one, like all of them for like months.
And so then
was people talking about that.
Part of it too then could be our cultural experience of living in a place where credit cards themselves too are something to be treated extremely cautiously, where we know that they are not used responsibly. And one of the reasons that is often cited for people to have trouble controlling their spending with a credit card is that it has no discernible change in weight or size when you use it, like cash does. So it can be hard for some people to keep track of it. So to me, something that you pay over an even longer period of time would seem to me to compound potentially that problem.
I agree. It's like that whole thing where like, oh, you buy a couch and it's $0 down, 0% interest for 3 years. It's like, why does that model work?
Because they're going to get interest
crushes people.
Because it has 30% interest when you don't have it paid off in 3 years.
And you're going to forget about it because it's 3 years later, and then you just get slammed.
People can afford $300 for the couch they want now. They can't afford $3,000. And instead of just buying a $300 couch, they want the one that they can technically afford because they have an extra $300 every month.
D. Jenner in Floatplane Chat says, so you guys support the payment processors censoring game purchases. It is not your responsibility to police the way other people spend money. If I want to pay later to gamble, that's my issue. Just don't promote these things. Well, now hold on just a gosh darn second here, because putting the logo on our website is promoting it. So that's one thing. And
I'm so confused.
There is a degree of corporate responsibility for not engaging in things that have the potential to be predatory, right? Like the whole thing where a third party that was nothing to do with the transaction, right? In those cases, the payment processors were interfering, and through outside influence groups were putting their own moral values on a transaction that was taking place between the first two parties. So we had a fourth party influencing a third party to influence the second party when you're just trying to buy something. That is not the same thing at all. That's not the same thing at all. In this case, we have two parties, and one is deciding whether to implement a payment processor that can potentially be harmful. Like, I think that it's a very slippery slope to say, well, corporations should just implement whatever. And if people can't use it responsibly, then like whatever, that's on them. Because I think as soon as we start to say something like that, well, like why even have warning labels on cigarettes? Because, they're adults, it's their bodies, it's their right to do whatever they want. It's like, well, like, yeah, but The whole reason that we have warnings, the whole reason that people get the ick around the mobile gaming industry, for instance, is that it can be very targeted. It can be very exploitative. And we are aspiring here to not behave like that. That's a good thing. We're not interfering in two other parties' business and pushing our own sort of moral value. We're just trying to operate our business with integrity.
The thing that kind of shifted my stance on a little bit was talking to people in Sweden, essentially. More than one. I talked to a few, and they're all like, yeah, what are you even talking about? This is super normal. And not just super normal, this is just like how you buy things. It's like, oh, okay, I don't know. I just was unaware. And I think it still doesn't make me comfortable with it, but I'm also not completely comfortable with credit cards. I mean, we've talked on WAN Show about the insufficient fund errors on Floatplane going up. That's uncomfortable. I don't like that. Don't do that. And I think we just need to say the same thing about buy now, pay later, which is like, don't do it if you can't pay sooner than later. Personally. But I don't know.
Right.
Because just because there are... This feels like geographical to me. Because like literally, like if I look up... there are more...
Stay the Path asks, LMFAO, thanks guys. I'm still not clear if Canadians use credit at all? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Like, do you guys only buy stuff when you can pay for all of it up front right then? Yes. That's not all Canadians. Actually, one of the reasons that there's a high degree of awareness around this topic for us is that Canadian household debt is, I believe, at an all-time high right now. And it's a major issue for us as a Canadian society to try to figure out how to tackle and shift our culture on. But I speak for me and Luke personally, and I think I heard Dan pipe up back there, but I was not already aware of that for Dan.
What was that? Sorry,
100%. Yeah, no, I have never made a discretionary purchase if I don't have cash. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, and I use credit cards for literally every purchase ever.
Yeah, me too.
And I always treat it like it's cash.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Every purchase goes into a spreadsheet at the end of the month.
Absolutely. And to be clear, there are healthier types of loan. Like while the housing market in Vancouver was going gangbusters, like people would take the equity that they had built up in their home because the value had gone up so much, and they might take some of that money out of it as an additional loan versus the mortgage they originally took out to, do a renovation on the house, with the idea being that, well, the value of the property is going to go up so much anyway that by the time you sell it, it's basically free real estate. Like and that was at a much lower interest rate. Or like, for example, my parents, they had a line of credit that we would often have to use in August because they were both educators and weren't being paid in the summer. And, some teachers do take on summer jobs, but they didn't. They took care of us kids in the summer because they had 5 of us. And so, we would dip into a line of credit from time to time. But in terms of like we're talking about credit cards and buy now, pay later here, guys. We're talking stuff with like crazy interest rates. Like I don't want to give any financial institution a penny of interest if I don't have to. Why would I?
I just think the thing
I'll buy a GPU later.
The thing that's shifting my mind.
Yeah.
The first shift was talking to Swedish people and just being like, oh, okay, interesting. And then I started looking into it more. And then I started hearing people talk about the term buy now, pay later. And it's just credit with a different shirt on.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, they're microloans, basically.
So but that's what credit cards are. So like...
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I said earlier, like it's at 1 month versus like 6 months. Because, Visa pays for my purchases for less than a month or 1 month. I guess Klarna is paying for your purchases for 6 months.
Like I think
it's the same thing.
I'm trying to figure out why I'm so put off by it. And
I think we are having the same sort of gut reaction, which is this month I have $3,000 to buy a GPU. So I'm going to buy that GPU because I have $3,000. I'll put it on my credit card. I would really like this GPU, but I only have $500. So I'm going to split that over 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
You only have $500. Maybe you shouldn't buy that GPU. Maybe it's better to save.
Or you should buy that GPU, but you should buy it in 4 months.
Yeah, when you have the
after
money.
you have saved it up ahead of time.
Maybe they're trying to capture a deal, something like that. I think the stuff like Klarna for somebody like myself promotes bad spending habits. And I think it's designed to promote bad spending habits.
But so are credit
because
cards.
not necessarily. This is more advanced than
They
that.
absolutely are.
Klarna is like sucralose, whereas credit cards are sugar. It's way easier to pay $20 now than it is to pay $200, and you pay $20 on top of it, so your bills every single month blossom.
I see what Dan means, where by the time you start to realize how deep you are in it, you could be deeper in it.
This happens with credit cards.
Oh yeah, it does.
And this is a more advanced
and with credit
version
cards,
of
you're
that.
paying $0 up front.
No, I totally understand what you're saying, but I also understand Dan's point.
This is just that, but worse.
And it's only worse. Hold on. It's only worse. Just please.
Because you understand it's the same.
It is, but it's also could be worse.
Okay.
Because we got to
It's more
understand
insidious.
that not every person is going. Hold on. Dan, wait. Let me break through because
right.
he's got a bit of a mental block here.
I'm new at this.
I think I know what the problem is.
Okay, good.
So the point that Dan is trying to make is that with a service that extends it by such a lengthy period of time, there is a potentially such a long delay between when you made the initial decision and when the negative impact hits you that you may have had much more time to make compounding negative decisions in that time, whereas your credit card bill arrives every month. So it's kind of like if you had multiple credit cards that you were using to pay each credit card and you only realized what a problem it was by the time your last credit card was due, is I think what you're trying to say, Dan.
Yeah,
Except
I
the
get
credit
a
cards
big
also have
bill.
minimum payments, which is what a lot of people
they do.
But you're paying off your Klarna.
But you
right?
have to
You're
look
paying
at
off
it.
your credit card, you're paying off your Klarna. Every single month I get this big bill, I pay off my big bill. But when I'm looking at a purchase and I'm staring down this GPU and it's $3,000, I'm making an internal decision. Do I really want to hand over $3,000 right now? If all of the purchases that I'm doing throughout the day are, this is only $20, right? My GPU only cost me $100. And then I go to another store. This is only going to cost me $100. This is only $50. Oh, hold on. My DoorDash, instead of being $15, that cost me $2.
And then Luke's point is it could be just as insidious if it's $0.
It's exactly the same thing.
They're not exactly.
Because with
no.
minimum payments,
It's about the
I don't think everyone sees it the way that you happen to be seeing it right now.
Depending on your psychological profile, I think one or the other could absolutely be worse.
Yes.
And so I think that's an important thing for us to all kind of capture here.
For sure.
And I think that my gut reaction came from I saw Klarna as on top of credit cards,
Me too.
which is maybe why I saw it as the more evil of the two. But I also see your point that if either are being used independently, they are functionally the same thing.
Because with minimum payments,
Yes,
it's
I get
the
it.
same thing.
I think they probably want us to move on, but there's one more quick thing. Ruker says, come on, Linus, kids come out of college in 6-figure debt. So the difference there was I had a really great summer job. I ran a painting business with a similar thing to College Pro. And so I came out of school with no debt. So when I say I have saved up ahead of time for every major purchase in my life, I do mean that. And I've been very lucky to be able to do that. I was able to live at home while I was going to school. That made a big difference. I mean, I commuted 4.5 hours a day or whatever. So there were definitely, downsides. And I got some help from my parents as well. They paid for half of my first car, if I recall correctly. So that was a couple $1,000s, actually. It was a cheap car, but it moved from point A to point B, which was what I needed. There was more to the deal. My mom was also going back for another degree. And so I drove her as well as part of, it was a multifaceted deal. The point is just that, no, that is a thing. Saving up before you buy something is definitely a thing. And that was one of the reasons that I have and even continue to shop secondhand, because it's cheaper and because then you don't have to save for as long.
The hunt is also kind of fun.
The hunt is fun. Not everybody's into it. Not everybody's into it. Crystal says, you also didn't finish college. You also live in a country where that's actually feasible. Not anymore. So that's a thing that's changed, right? And to be clear, none of what I'm talking about had anything to do with student loan debt. I didn't mention student loan debt. That is something that, depending on the program that you're going into, depending on the return that you might expect from it, could make sense. Yvonne's education made a lot of sense. And one of the reasons that we were able to pay for her education was that I did drop out. And I contributed to her education, even though that probably didn't make sense for where we were at in our relationship at the time. But she seemed like the one, and it seemed like a good idea, and it paid off just fine. So make of that what you will. But it's obviously a discussion that is generating a lot of emotions in viewers right now. And we were basically just looking to kind of take your temperature on this whole buy now, pay later. It seems like in general, people are pretty aligned on what's the difference at this point. So I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it some more. Yeah, Angry Panda. It's been an interesting discussion.
I don't know if there's more to say.
If nothing else. Yeah, maybe there is nothing more to say. I mean, you just are just like whatever at this point?
Do a capitalism. Turn it on.
I don't like
consumer choice.
That's kind of where I'm sitting. I don't like it, but if you want to do it, sure.
Because you don't use credit cards. I use credit cards for everything.
I use credit cards for everything.
Archivik and Floatplane Chat may have come into the conversation a little bit later and says, you don't have a choice in taking credit cards, and you don't have a choice if someone signs up for one, but you do have a choice in enabling buy now, pay later. Someone could sign up for a predatory service because you offered it. So you might have missed the part earlier in the conversation where we don't have a choice. PayPal is just pushing it. It will be enabled. That's it. So buy now, pay later will be enabled on our site regardless at this point. And that's the reason that we're even having the conversation
That's what sparked it.
Yeah. All right.
But it's also like, I don't know if that's this whole thing, it comes down to perspectives. Because like, I understand what you and Dan are saying, but I think there is an archetype of person who won't see it that way. That's my core argument.
That's the problem.
And sorry?
That's the problem, that they don't see it like that.
No, for sure. That's why they end up in horrible cyclical debt forever. And it's like not a good thing at all.
And I think these micro multi-month loan things encourage that more than a credit card.
I don't necessarily agree. But anyways, we're getting really cyclical.
But it doesn't matter because
that's fine.
It's going to be different for different people. And I think that Dan can be right and you can also be right.
I think so.
So I think that particular
So I'm trying to move on from there. My point
matter.
is that by having a checkout that shows that it's compatible with certain things, I think it's exactly the same.
Right.
Because if you go, I want this thing, and then you try to buy it, and it's like, you can use these things to buy it, I think it's exactly the same as showing a Klarna button. Because if you're like, oh, I don't have one of these, you can just look it up and have a credit card afterwards.
Yeah,
I think that's reasonable.
It's always interesting when we get the drop PayPal suggestion. So many people, literally, the second we dropped PayPal from our site, I guarantee you our customer support inbox would just be flooded with people asking why the fuck we don't support PayPal because now they have no way to buy anything from our store. A surprising number of people. I didn't realize this. PayPal is not a huge part of my life paying for things. I don't really use it. Other than like corporately. But some regions that they are super reliant on PayPal, they're super into PayPal, and that's just the way it is. Not taking PayPal would not be a good idea. Period. It would literally make customers mad for what would we accomplish? PayPal is functionally a monopoly in their space. That would be like me refusing to engage with Ticketmaster. You know what? I'll just never go to a concert again because Ticketmaster. And honestly, that would be a pretty based take at this point. Like, if that was somebody's stance, I wouldn't be like, I disagree. I'd be like, that's pretty cool. But also, I like to go to concerts and stage plays and stuff. So I'm probably going to have to buy from Ticketmaster.